So this week the main focus is going to be windows, and specifically those top 5 that you can see across the top of the building there. It's going to be making the frames for the windows mainly. So to do this, I reverted to drawing a template for the windows so that I can create the frames accurately and consistently for each window. Here you can see me actually drawing the bits out. So I'm just literally using a normal fine tip pen, a piece of paper, and just drawing out the plans, being careful to measure it out accurately. You need to actually focus quite hard when you're doing this, because you can make an error where if you get a measurement wrong, it can throw out everything. So you have to make sure you cut the window into thirds correctly and make sure it all kind of works accordingly. And a straight ruler is obviously a big help. Now I'm going to be doing all of the windows separately, drawing them out. And you might think, well, why don't I just do the 4 that look the same, do them the same, draw them out, one, you know, and copy it as a template. But the thing is that when you're making things by hand, window sizes can be slightly different, like to literally 0.5 millimeter, you know, and that can affect everything. So if you make, you know, do one and draw that out and use that template, it might not fit all the windows, and then you kind of got a bigger problem on your hands. So this is kind of an example of where I feel you have to take a little bit more time to do a better job, and quite often that's my thought process for things. You can just see me finishing up the 5th window here. So this is the part where I'm going to actually use the template to start to mark out the windows on the clear acrylic that I'm using. It's very thin stuff. It's got a bit of strength to it, so that kind of helps when actually putting the windows in. But first I've drawn out the little hatch that is in each window that opens, because I actually want to have some of those open to kind of add to the realism. So this is me just scoring my way through the lines on these sort of opening parts. Really careful work. Obviously don't want to cut my hand open, because that would just be absolute nightmare, to be honest. But being in A&E ain't going to help anybody. So you take your time and yeah, score through, do a couple of lines, and then yeah, as long as you peel the tape off that covers the acrylic, then it'll all be quite a neat break usually. Get a pair of the early learning scissors in. Honestly, you can trust them with your life. They're fantastic scissors. I really recommend them. Yeah. So now we've cut that out, and I'm just going to go over those lines again just to make sure that they are, consistently cut. I think I've actually got some backing sheet on the back of here still, so that's what I'm kind of doing, just breaking through and making sure it's all, going to be easy to peel off. And you can see how I have to hold the plastic as well. There's certain things that I've learned. It sounds dodgy, but weird sort of finger position you have to kind of get yourself in to ensure your safety, but also you get a good cut out of it as well, because it's very easy there to just cut through the end and cut the piece off. So going from both directions, and yeah, and you see you just get a little wiggle and it should snap open. There you go. So yeah, I was quite happy with that. I thought that was a good one. I just realised I've got to do 3 more of the same and a larger one, but yeah, just trim down those edges. So now this is where you can see I've got that opening on the window, so I'm quite happy with that. I need it to stay sort of ajar backwards because that's how it will be open. So just making that score line so it doesn't break, but then you can have it like folded back slightly. And now I'm getting out my plastic rod, which you know, when it's at home, it is literally plastic rod, and basically, yeah, gonna trim that down, cut it to using the template below the acrylic to make sure it's all the same length. So. And obviously remember those longer ones as well. You want to get a clean cut as well with your knife, because otherwise it's a bit of a pain otherwise to try and tidy that up. There we go, so we have all the parts that we need for that kind of inner square. So I'm just going to place them on, using the template below to kind of get it all aligned. But I need to colour it as well, because it's not white, they're like a patina kind of green colour, so that's why I thought, oh, I'll use a Sharpie for that, because I've done this in the past and it does work a treat actually. You'd think it would all kind of run off and the colour would smudge and be a right mess, but it does mark the plastic quite well. So yeah, just hold it with a pair of tweezers, and allows me to then run the some plastic weld down the rod, which then I can like place onto the plastic acrylic sheet, and as long as it's aligned with the drawing below, then it's going to work perfectly. So yeah, here I'm going to just put a dab of plastic weld on just to seal it all in place to make sure it's not going to go anywhere. Because that's the thing, it's such a small bit of plastic that it could just lift off over time, so you have to make sure it's actually welded to the plastic. So yeah, this is me just going through and adding in all the elements in the same way, nothing different, just obviously the different bits I've cut to size and making sure they all fit. I actually changed my plan here of colouring each piece separately and waiting until they're stuck down and colouring them, because it was a little bit of a tricky, kind of more time consuming thing to do, and that's the big trick really, is finding ways to work smart with it all so you don't end up wasting time. You know, if you can find a quicker way to do something but it's consistently looks good, then do it that way. There's no harm in that. So the last bit is just to put the little pieces, detailed bits around the edge. Here's a 12 in total, these little parts, so I cut them slightly over length and then I stick them around the edge just to complete the kind of framing detail, and then I'll trim them down afterwards. That's how the cleanest way to do it. And then obviously get the Sharpie and colour them in as well, can't forget to do that. And obviously you'll have like a black wash over it afterwards, the window, so it kind of all looks weathered and tidy. So there we have it, there's the windows in place. I'll just use a piece of sellotape kind of around the edge of the window just to hold it in. But you can see from the looking through to the back there, looks really, really good. My hand for a bit of scale, you can see it in. And obviously I've got to lean those little frames out, but they're inside the window. But it's all looking really, really good. And a comparison with the real thing as well, which effective. So yeah, thanks for watching this week, and I hope you learned something. Subscribe and like, and I will see you next week.